early on to invite the governor candidates for to this conference to hear their vision of water supply and their vision of North Dakota if elected. So we were delighted to have Representative Marvin Nelson here this afternoon. Marvin's been and he didn't give me introductory comments, so he's probably more anxious than anybody, because I know Marvin quite well. He had a crop consulting business in the Rolla area. He ran a very successful bipartisan seed cleaning business, and I know that for a fact because both Representative Bowe and myself were customers of his. So hence the bipartisanship dilemma at our designation. And he's been served in the North Dakota legislature for three sessions.
Three sessions.
And has been a leader in rural issues across the state. And since announcing his candidacy for governor, has been crisscrossing the state, and we're very happy to have him join us today for some remarks. So with that, from my objective position, I can't think of a better name for governor of the state of North Dakota. Please welcome Representative Marvin Nelson.
Well, thank you, John. You know, I kind of get kidded about the white beard sometimes, and I look like Santa Claus, and I say, well, it's just fitting for a Democrat in the legislature. And the only real problem I have is by the time John gets done, there's nothing left to give away. Now, it really was exciting to come here today. You know, everybody's looking at the governor's press conference this afternoon for the special session, so we don't have a lot of news media here. But I have that I am now the Democratic governor-elect. And so you are the first people to know. And it's funny, always in the campaigns, there's all those little things that come, you know, and stuff, and you get people get so excited about it, and they go, you know, that isn't a very big deal. And it just, we can go on. You know, we're really just kind of getting started. Josh tells me I've already put 30,000 miles on getting across the state, and that's why I'm speaking now, because I got to be back in Bismarck this evening, and it just takes time to get around. You know, I've spent some time in the legislature. I'm currently serving on the Interim Water Topics Committee, and I also, my first session, I got to sit right by Dwayne DeCray in natural resources, and I don't think I've had a deer license since then. I should have never asked the Fish and Game Commissioner how many deer licenses he really wanted to have for the state. You know, that was probably a little too far. But you know, we in rural places, you know, in the state, we always end up, it's kind of like brothers and sisters pushing and shoving on each other because there's only so many potatoes in the pot. And at the end of the day, we have to come together because we have to cooperate, or somebody else is going to take that pot away from us along with the potatoes. And I really think about how water development, where we're sitting right now, because this biennium, we took in $565 million, but we authorized another $200 million. So there's a $200 million line of credit sitting at the state bank. And we probably won't really tap that, but projections for this coming biennium is only really to kind of almost get us a little bit past zero again. So we have some real problems here looking at just what we're going to do for funding. You know, we've still got flood control going on in Fargo, we got flood control in Minot, and those things are a very high priority. And we still have people in the state of North Dakota that don't have good water. And we need to get good water to those people. And so we really, in this time of budgetary stress, have to band together as rural people to try and get our share of what's in the pot. And you know, when I moved to Rolla, I actually bought a house that was on all seasons. And it was kind of interesting because almost none of my neighbors were on rural water. They all told me how expensive it was. And then along came 1988, and just about every one of them had a well driller in their yard. And over the years intervening, I'm not really sure if there's any neighbors immediately close to me that aren't on rural water because of the problems they had with the wells. And let me tell you, I got a well in my basement and I don't use it unless I want to color something red. It's, you know, if the barn's getting a little faded, just throw a pail of water on it and it'll do a good job. And it takes money, it takes time. You know, to do that. I'm not really a big fan about lugging boatloads of salt into my basement and stuff. So I'm really happy to be on all seasons and stuff. The only time I have trouble was when Representative Tracy Bowe's lights would flicker, then my water would go out. But thanks to Bisbee being on now we have an automatic system, so the guy doesn't have to drive from Bangladesh to turn it on anymore. So, you know, and that's the way it is. You do things, it's better than it was, and we continue to improve. And that's what we need to do across the state of North Dakota. You know, I was at the Rural Telecom Conference yesterday, and they are such critical infrastructure in our rural area of the state, as are you, because there's a lot of people in this world now that can live and work wherever they want to, if it has the right conditions for what they need. They need that telecom connection, and they want a good life. People don't want to move out to the country someplace and not have good water. I mean, and that's, I really think, where the economic future of North Dakota is going to be. I get mad sometimes at our state government because we all went ballistic years ago when a couple people from Rutgers talked about Buffalo Commons. But it seems to me that often our state government has pursued that very policy, only we call it regionalization instead of Buffalo Commons. You know, we put the state jobs in the population centers, and we don't put any more government jobs in the rural area than we absolutely have to. And it seems kind of strange to me. I talk to all these people who go to the big city. Why did you go to the big city? Well, I went there because that's where I could prosper economically. Well, how do you know when you reached it, when you've reached the summit, when you've prospered economically? Oh, you have a place in the country. I just kind of like to shortstop that whole circuit. You know, I always tease the people from Cass County. I say, well, the difference between Cass County and Rolette County is in Rolette County, people live at the lake and they go to the city on the weekend. You can go down to some theater in Minneapolis, and I swear there's weekends where half the people there are from rural North Dakota. And we have culture, you know, we have those things. Winnipeg's only a couple hours away, you know, with some of that and stuff. But what we maybe haven't done too well is tell our story. And, you know, it's a real problem. I know you all struggle with how many users do I have? How many people do we have to share the expenses to get a system in? How many people do we have to pay for that system? And really, in so many cases, you know, you can just look, and if things are just growing a little bit, that's a whole lot better than shrinking a little bit. And I get nervous now when I look at where agriculture is right now. Kind of, I call it 2 feet on the banana peel, with wheat prices where they're at, and corn prices where they're at, and cattle prices where they're at. We haven't taken the big dive yet, but it's potential that we could. And so that'll be tough for rural North Dakota. You know, I look at the western part of the state, and I see, you know, how water has depended on oil to get the water to the people, and how oil has depended on water. And that's really, to me, the epitome of how we need to work. We need to be cooperative with each other. We need to understand with each other. And one of the things I would do as governor is I'm not going to be a closed door. I can't, when I make a decision, I can't always agree with everybody, but I can listen. And I think that's a lot how we have done things in water, where we all get to say our piece, and then we have to make a decision, and we have to live with it. And I appreciate the way this group really has worked together in making those decisions. And I hope that we can really continue that in the future. So with that, I guess I just say thank you. Thank you for all the work that you do. Thank you for making North Dakota a better place.